Howard the Duck. I don't know the lyrics. I know that they did the fake duck sounds in that song, remember?
Yes, I do.
All right, we're at the 10-second mark. Grab your denture cream, because the Geeky Geezers are going to smack that grin off Oscar's face.
Yeah.
Uh, which Oscar you talking about? Oscar Isaac or Oscar the Grouch? Just anyway.
Both.
Yes. I like Oscar Isaac. In fact, I'll say this.
I do.
Force Awakens, I don't think I hated any of the cast. It was just the movie they were in. Like, I'll say this. Midnight's Edge had a video on Daisy Ridley recently talking about isn't it horrible? There's all this misogyny in the fandom. And she says, well, that's not what I've encountered. And it's like, whether or not she believes that, that's actually how you're supposed to act as the
exactly.
Actor the movie.
I saw that.
Poised. So
I saw that, and my
character Ray, I don't have a problem with her.
My reaction to that was, oh, Hollywood is now going to start making the shift to, the stars being movie stars and being gracious and nice to their fans. And, okay, maybe some people have learned a lesson or two.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, to be fair, I don't know if I've ever heard her be obnoxious.
No, that's true.
Say that, or even John Boyega or Oscar Isaac. I don't think any of them have been.
Let's face it, they could do this. They can make that pivot for themselves, because they don't have the negative on the other side. But what's her name? Snow Off White. She doesn't have a chance.
Well, we'll see how that movie does. But let's say hi to the chat. Hello, the chat. Oh, hello, Horizon Talker. Connie Cleary, welcome. Grab your... Okay, we already did. Dpensec, welcome, though. Agent Boomer, last call. Okay, greetings. Okay. Let me scroll down this list here. I did remember last minute to get rid of that live reaction thing, Troy, so you won't have to worry about that.
Good. That is very helpful to all the Blue Wrenches.
I'm trying to get used to doing that, so we don't run into that. But have a great stream. Welcome, Big Al. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Not bad. We'll see how it goes. Sad in memoriam tonight, though. We'll get to that a little later.
Yeah.
But thanks and welcome to Big Al Presents. Oh, thank you, Netter. You got a hi, sweetie, from Netter. And let's see. What else we got here? Lady V Elements, welcome. Joshua V, welcome. And Matanui, welcome. Matanui, we have an article later on about a sequel to a very popular game that was good enough for us, so it should be good enough for you.
If it was good enough for us, it was good enough for you,
I just want to yell at the kids said, Pong. You were all spoiled. We were happy with Pong, and that was enough for us.
And in order to play it, we had to walk uphill 500 miles both ways.
Some have argued that Pong is the one video game that's been remade over and over again since its inception because it's basically just tennis.
Yeah, basically.
Always new tennis games. Nintendo has a tennis series. I mean, it's like... Have you heard of the National Geographic series named after Pixar's A Bug's Life debuted last Wednesday? No, I didn't. This makes sense, though, as Disney owns the channel, but is it called A Bug's Life? Does it have, like, the animated creatures hosting it? Which, to be fair, if it was a children's educational series, I don't know if I'd have such a problem with it. If it's on the adult series, though. Oh, no one's hearing me.
No, I hear you. I hear you just fine.
All right. Well, let me know if any of y'all in the chat can hear me. All right. I'm getting a no audio from Pensec. All right. Yes, please let me know if you're hearing me.
Netter said she's hearing okay, so maybe David, just double check your sound there.
Maybe.
Or your connection.
Sure. Okay, I hear a thing. Pong, there is no other, laugh out loud. There is.
Tell him to take himself off of mute.
I always felt like, in a way, when one of the first games I got on Atari 2600 was Breakout. And I always, and that's the first game you could play with the little paddle, right? The twisted paddle.
Yeah, you need that paddle for that game.
Exactly. And I honestly felt like that was like a slightly advanced version of Pong,
Kind of, yeah. And basically that was remade by Taito with the game Arkanoid later on. I don't know if you ever played Arkanoid. It's like Breakout, but even more complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really... And then there was an advanced Breakout where you had, like, double layer of paddles. You could have more than one person on the screen at the time. You got the option to go all the way through, break through and stuff.
Troy sounds kind of like Colonel Cotton Hill from King of the Hills. Is
Well,
that
yeah.
Hank's dad?
Yeah.
Oh no, I remember. Oh, I loved it when he was on the show because he was so awful.
I was just going for generic old crotchety Southern, guy.
Yeah, it's just. King of the Hill is such a great show. To be fair, I think Mike Judd has this weird show that's gonna be premiering on Paramount Plus, which is part claymation, part real actors. Which I don't know. It almost seemed like it was making fun of the woke stuff, but I know they're not going to go there though. But if anyone would go there, it would be Mike Judd, right? So I don't know. We'll see. I just saw like a brief commercial for it.
Yeah.
All right, Gorilla Random Thoughts. Welcome. If I didn't say hi, Jesse Guajardo. I guess we have a special guest. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Major Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli, and special guest. Deleted Scenes tonight on the Geeky Geezers. And why is Deleted Scenes here? Because he is our Oscar expert.
Yep, subject matter expert. That's right.
Remember the Oscars the one time when they were doing all the different songs from various movies across the years? And I think Isaac Hayes, was he on the stage? And then there was a puff of smoke and he disappeared. And nobody knew what happened to him.
Yeah, that's great.
Like something went wrong. Like that was a fun Oscars because there was all this weird stuff going on, and like no one knew what happened to Isaac Hayes. Apparently there was a malfunction, but he was okay. I guess he went through a trapdoor or something. People thought he disappeared because he was doing the Shaft song, right? And then they had Gary Coleman was at the Oscars that year too, and people were asking, what is Gary Coleman doing at the Oscars? And apparently he was there doing reporting for some online magazine. But that was
interesting.
Oh yeah.
Real Bug's Life could have been better with the idea of characters from the series. One episode took place in New York, and DreamWorks would be mad considering 2 bug movies they made. You know what? I often had a theory about why Ants and A Bug's Life came out at the same time. And I don't know if y'all buy into the theory of the collective unconscious, that we everyone pulls their ideas from the same part. That's why like inventions come out similar to each other and maybe the same type of movie.
Yeah,
or maybe
it's
that's
part
just
of
coincidence. I don't know.
What you're referring to is the theory of psychology of Carl Jung. Right. This idea of synchronicity, which is actually where the Police got the name of their album from. This idea when a group of people, it's the flocking mentality of birds. They all just kind of get in sync. They don't have to communicate directly to be thinking along the same lines. It's the same kind of thing when if I tell Netter, hey, let's go to such and such restaurant and get such and such tonight. How did you know I was thinking that? Did you read my mind? No, it's because we live together. We think,
No, I do read your mind.
Well, yes. My mind is pretty easy to interpret. But we have the same things going on around us, and it's like we were watching that show and they had the thing, and I got a taste for it. I'll bet you did too. Let's go. It's synchronicity. But actually, when it comes to things like Bug's Life and Ants. There's actually an even simpler answer, and that's that, and you'll notice this happens in Hollywood all the time. Deep Impact and Armageddon and, all these other movies that come out at about the same time. What happens with the way scripts are submitted to studios is a script will get passed around, and it's an idea, it's a treatment, it's whatever.
Oh.
And if one picks it up, then another studio will go, oh, you remember that Ant movie that such and such wrote and was trying to get shipped? Well, such and such studio just picked it up. Maybe we should get in on that and do our own version of it.
Right, because you had Tombstone and Wyatt Earp come around the same time too.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I remember. Okay, that makes more sense now, actually.
Yeah, it's a more overt kind of version. It's a more underhanded kind of version of synchronicity, but it kind of fits the same bill.
Well, speaking of Hollywood and speaking of honoring this year's, or I never know how it is with the Oscars. It's not like 2024's movies. It's up to the date of nomination from the last date of nomination, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me go ahead and bring up the noms. Give me a second.
Okay.
Where are the noms? Okay, there they are.
Um,
I have a PDF ready, but if you have yours, you can read from that too. Delete scenes, but I have one just in case. All right.
okay.
I just got it directly from the Oscars website. Do you want to talk about actor in a leading role?
Sure.
We got Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. I'll say that these are some heavy hitters. Who's Coleman Domingo, though? Do I know who that is?
Coleman Domingo. Yeah, he is also in The Color Purple this year.
Okay, all right.
He is on the I believe it's the Fear the Walking Dead TV series that he stars in.
Oh, wait a minute! Hold
yeah.
the phone. I know who that is. I should have looked up his name. I apologize. I think I know who you're talking about. Was he also in Blade Runner 2049 as the guy running the orphanage?
No, different guy. You're very close though.
Okay, all right, never mind.
No,
okay.
Lenny James was the one in Blade Runner. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I just didn't recognize him, but okay. So he's in Rustin. So
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this: these are some heavy hitters. I haven't seen The Holdovers yet. I've heard very good things about The Holdovers. I like Jeffrey Wright a lot. He's probably due for one, but of course, Cillian Murphy with Oppenheimer might take it. I don't know. I haven't seen the others though yet.
It is, in my opinion, a 3-man race.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just kind of go through them all really quickly.
Sure.
When it comes to Bradley Cooper, they like nominating him, but I don't think it's going to be for this one.
Okay.
Coleman Domingo, I think they're going to think he's going to be back. He'll have plenty of chances. And I think that's why they'll say the same thing about Cillian Murphy. And even though Jeffrey Wright is really good in American Fiction as well, I think it's going to be Paul Giamatti this year.
He's a great actor, and he was John Adams. Remember Troy in the HBO series? Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, now Paul Giamatti's earned an Oscar too, but Jeffrey Wright's really good too, though. So I don't know. It's tough, but I guess they're probably going to give it to Paul Giamatti. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I need to see The Holdovers. I've heard good buzz about that.
Yeah, I need to carve out some time this week and sit down and watch it. It is available to see for free on Peacock.
Oh, it is. I didn't realize that.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you subscribe to Peacock, or is it just something that you get for free? Are you a subscriber?
I'm a subscriber, so I can get the premium stuff, so I don't have to pay for it. But yeah, there's like a free tier, and then there's
yeah, I was trying to tell Troy about
this. It's like, I think it's like $4.95 a month or something. It's
because so there is a free tier. So could Troy theoretically watch the Monk movie for free, or is I'm getting off track?
Probably.
Let's face it, I can see anything I want to if I so choose.
Okay. Supporting roles. This is also for an actor in a supporting role. Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction. Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things. I think we can probably knock Mark Ruffalo out of there, maybe. I don't know. I don't think they're going to give it to De Niro because they've given him a ton of Oscars already, but I don't know. What do you think?
It's going to be Downey.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Robert Downey Jr.
For all of the characters in Oppenheimer, in Oppenheimer is like a kind of like a cast of thousands almost, and everybody.
It almost reminds you like a modern equivalent. It almost reminds you of a modern equivalent of the movies from the '70s, which had those casts of thousands. Remember? Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yeah.
And for as high profile as Robert Downey Jr. is, he disappears into that character. You're not dealing with Robert Downey Jr. anymore. You're dealing with Louis Strauss.
That's true.
You know, and he's fantastic in that movie. Everybody is really, but I think he's going to come away with it. Ryan Gosling is probably the next best choice. He is the best thing in that movie. you know, aside from the production design. But
I see.
Yeah.
I still have not seen that movie in particular. I feel like I'm going to get sucked into it at some point, whether I want to or not. I'll try to fight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Troy. You want to do the actress in the leading role next to deleted scenes?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, we have Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things.
I've seen none of these movies. I know of Poor Things, though. Isn't that almost like a Frankenstein-inspired type movie, I think?
Along those lines, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Killers of the Flower Moon, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
Who do you think?
Well, for one thing, I'm kind of surprised that Margot Robbie isn't on the list.
Interesting,
because
yeah.
I thought she would ride that Barbie wave all the way into a nomination, but she didn't. Which kind of leads one to ask, who wound up with her spot? Was it Carey Mulligan or was it Annette Bening? Now I've seen Naiad. It's a good movie. Annette Bening is good in it. Carey Mulligan, I have nothing against her personally. A number of the characters that she's played in movies have kind of grated on me.
Yeah.
And she comes off kind of unlikable in her own movies.
You know? Oh, what was that one with she was in there as Fassbender's sister?
Shame.
I think it was called Shame. Yeah. No. Yeah. Was she also in Drive with Ryan Gosling?
She was in Drive.
Yes, she was like the single mom next door, I think, right?
Yeah. Drive was good. I liked her in that.
Drive was a good movie, yeah.
In other movies, it's become a little bit. I don't know if it's just me or what, but
she was in that Suffragette movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I don't know. All right. But, so, is this a big question mark though? Best actress is a question mark for you? They're gonna give it to Bening?
No, I don't.
Okay.
If they do, it'll be as a career achievement. But I really think it's probably going to be either Emma Stone, who I think is probably the most likely, or they could go with Sandra Hüller, because Anatomy of a Fall has gotten a lot of critical acclaim, and she's also in the Zone of Interest, and both movies are both nominated. So,
okay,
maybe she could get in. But right now, I would say probably go with Emma Stone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Stone. Yeah. All right. I haven't seen it, so maybe.
I haven't either, but.
Yeah. Actress in a supporting role. Ooh, we have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera in Barbie. Interesting. She got a nom from Barbie, but no Margot Robbie. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Jodie Foster in Naiad and Devine Roy Randolph Holdovers. How was America Ferrera in Barbie? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I've seen her in
insufferable, but it's not her fault.
Okay. It's not her fault.
She's playing the role she was given.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, the actors in Barbie are not the problem. It's the messaging in the second half of the movie that's the problem.
Can I make a quick prediction on this one?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Not who's going to win, but what message it sends. If America Ferrera wins, it means that the Oscars are still all in on the message. If not, then this tells us they're moving on and trying to get legitimate again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Now,
we'll see.
Again, we'll see.
This is 5 noms for each of these, though, right? So.
Yeah. Personally, I I really like Jodie Foster in Nyad. I think she steals the movie.
Okay.
I was glad to see her nominated. Divine Joy Randolph's going to win, though, because she has won in this category across the board. She won the Golden Globe. She won the Critics' Choice. She's won all of the critics groups awards.
Correct.
I think she's pretty much a lock.
Okay, I need to watch The Holdovers. That's what this is telling me. Is it technically a Christmas movie too? Is that what I've heard?
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I think it takes place at Christmas, yeah.
All right, shall we move on to animated feature film?
All right.
Yeah, unless you have anything left to say about the supporting actresses.
No.
All right. Nominees: The Boy and the Heron, Hayao Miyazaki and Toshio Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
Elemental, Peter Song and Denise Ream. Nimona, Nick Bruno, Troy Quayne, Karen Ryan, and Julie Zachary. Robot Dreams, Pablo Berger, Iban Cormezana, Ignacia Estape, and Sandra Tapia Diaz. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Kemp Powers, Justin K. Thompson, Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Amy Pascal. So I have my pick for what's probably going to win. Do you?
I think there are two possibles.
Okay. Let's hear your thing.
Well, you got to put Spider-Man out there as the front runner because the first movie won this category.
Right.
And I also know there were a number of people who thought Across the Spider-Verse should have been in there for Best Picture. There are people who thought it was that good. I didn't see it. I don't know. But The Boy and the Heron was really high profile too. So
Yeah.
I think it's a horse race between the two of them. It really could go. It really could go either way. You know, Miyazaki's won before because Spirited Away, I believe, won that category as well.
Now it's interesting. Yeah, Elemental's in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse because I'm wondering if either Robot Dreams or Nimona are going to pull from Boy and the Heron. What is Robot Dreams and Nimona? I've not heard of these movies.
I have not either. So
And they're probably good, but I'm just wondering if these are more the
sure.
avant-garde animated movies that might split the vote. Now, granted, maybe Ghibli at this point has become mainstream enough that doesn't matter because this is everyone around the world knows Studio Ghibli now. So maybe it might go to Hayao Miyazaki, but then again, you have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Elemental's not going to win. I know that much.
No.
So it's between Boy and the Heron and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I agree. We're on the same page there. All right. So let's see. Any other categories you want to go over? You want to do cinematography?
Cinematography?
We don't have to do everything if you don't want to. We might be here all night. But yeah,
I understand.
Like the Oscars, and they start speeding things up when the poor guy's trying to get the effects, give his effects speech or whatever.
Yeah, we'll speed it up. There are a couple of categories I could probably breeze through pretty quickly. Cinematography. Okay, we have El Conde, Edward Lockman, Killers of the Flower Moon, Rodrigo Prieto, Maestro, Matthew Lapatique, Oppenheimer, Hoyt van Hotenma, and I know I messed up that name. Sorry, sir. And Poor Things, Robbie Ryan.
Oppenheimer, I think.
Oppenheimer, yeah. And but it is interesting because you have El Conde and Maestro and Oppenheimer, where the movie is either entirely in black and white or at least partially in black and white, which I think is interesting. Maybe that.
Well, I think that's interesting.
Making a comeback, or.
But part of me thinks that the Academy voters would say, "I'm not going to give best cinematography of that movie. It's not even in color. I think there are people that dumb doing the voting. Yes, okay, that's what I think.
Yeah.
You know when the uproar over Oscars So White came about? It came out about after that one Oscars. They were interviewing the voters, and there were some horrendous things being said. And I remember one of them was for the effects category. I don't really pay attention to the effects, and I'm like, yes, but it is a category you're voting for. Like Interstellar had very nice effects in it. That might be your pick. You know, I when I was watching Interstellar, I felt like I was in outer space, that I was looking at outer space. That's why I might have given it to Interstellar, but never mind. Okay, costume design: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. Poor Things looks extravagant from what I've seen. What is it? Edwardian, or maybe I'm getting the period wrong there. I don't know. It's probably later than that. Your favorite, Troy, Napoleon.
Oh, God.
You think they got the costuming right for the period?
Don't even get me started.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be Barbie. What do you think? Deleted scenes.
I think so too.
They're going to give it. They got to give Barbie something. They'll probably throw that to Barbie.
Yeah.
In this case, I would say Barbie over Napoleon. I'd be fine with.
Directing. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. I've only seen like 10 minutes out of Napoleon, and I got to tell you, it wasn't a bad 10 minutes, but there's also like about another 2.5 hours where they could have completely blown it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It looks good. I'll give it that.
So okay, fine, fair enough.
But whether there's any substance, who knows?
Apparently, the director's cut is coming to Apple TV. So
yeah,
so you can watch the true version. That will probably never get released on Blu-ray because it's going to be an Apple TV exclusive. So there you go. Directing, we have nominees: Anatomy of a Fall, Justin Triet, if I'm getting his name right. I apologize if I didn't. Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos, Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer. I already have my pick for this one. How about you?
It's Nolan.
Yeah, it's going to be Nolan. Part of the reason was there's a rumor going around, or at least Bret Easton Ellis said that the reason the Oscars went to 9 nominees was because they didn't nominate The Dark Knight for Best Picture in the five category, and people argued, yes, it's a superhero movie, but it probably was the best movie released that year. It should have at least gotten a nomination. So they think that was what caused them to start doing the 9 nominations. So maybe more off-kilter pictures, like you could throw a superhero movie. Like the following year, I think you had the 9 nominations. You had District 9 on there, which is a science fiction movie. You may not normally get something like that up for Best Picture. But.
No, not normally. No.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by this particular group of nominees in particular. I know people are crying because Greta Gerwig's not
yeah, she didn't get a nom for Best Director. Yeah, that's interesting.
But this is the part where, hey, people, you gotta look at the rest of the list. She's nominated for screenplay, and she's nominated as a producer of the film.
Nope, that's not enough. They want it all. They want it all.
Well, they're not going to get all. And they
good. No, I agree.
Calm down.
50,000 years of patriarchal oppression.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Documentary feature film. Do you want to mention anything about this deleted scenes, or shall we move on? I'm sorry, I'm being mean.
No, that's fine. Well, they completely messed up the documentary category, as they always do, by not nominating any of the movies that people have actually heard of or seen. You know, where is the Michael J. Fox movie?
Yeah. There's also the Shatner. Wasn't there a Shatner movie about his final days? I think they did a documentary about him. Did Errol Morris not do anything this year, I guess? I always like this stuff.
Guess not. 20 Days in Mariupol is going to win. It's topical. It's about Ukraine.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it's going to go. It's in That category is a done deal.
We're just going to give it to that. Okay, let's move on. Documentary short film. I don't know. The ABC's of book banning. Interesting. Let's move on. Film editing. What categories do you care about? Deleted scenes. Editing's important. Okay. It's just when a movie's 3 hours, maybe you shouldn't get a nomination. I'm sorry. And I know what he's about to say. It was going to be 6 hours. Yes, I know. I'm kidding. I'm not funny.
All right, let's.
Film editing.
Well, okay. Let me.
Holdovers.
Film editing. Okay.
I haven't even seen it. I'm going to say it's holdovers. Let's give it the film holdovers. I bet the movie's 2 hours, so let's give it the holdovers.
Maybe. It might. My thing has always been that one of the best ways, and hello to both Sin's Corner and the Lady Mist.
Yes.
Hello, I do see you in the chat. Now, I have a theory when it comes to film editing, and that's that if you are nominated for editing, you have a really good chance of winning Best Picture. There always seems to be a correlation. It doesn't happen every year, but I've noticed more often than not Best Picture wins editing as well. So you have Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. I think Oppenheimer is going to win this category. On the other hand, I have this feeling in the back of my mind that maybe the holdovers could get in and win that category. So it's going to be one of them or the other. But usually editing wins Best Picture, and I think Oppenheimer is going to win, so I'll go with it. And D. Penzak is also saying in the chat something that's also a good point. He says good editing is invisible, and that's definitely the vibe I'm getting off of the holdovers.
Okay.
So
that might be it. Maybe they'll give it to them.
But there's because they go one way or the other. They seem to mix the good editing, which as Steve Penzak says is invisible, with the movie with the most editing. And Oppenheimer has a lot of editing. It does. It does. I don't think it takes away from the movie, but anyway.
This is interesting. International feature film. Troy, you and I were talking about this when this was getting unraveled. And they got rid of foreign language category. Now it's international. And then I was arguing at the time, well, does that mean a movie from England can get nominated since it's a foreign country, just not foreign language? And yes, we have a movie from the United K on this list.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Well, it's UK financed, but I believe the dialogue is primarily in German.
Oh. I thought it was UK finance and the dialogue was mainly in Scottish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Crazy.
No,
if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
I'm sorry. I watch anything that takes place in Scotland from like BBC. I have to put the subtitles on. That's a bridge too far for me. I know they're speaking English, but it's hard. It's hard. Nominees:
The Land of the Free and the Home of the Brave. Now that's Chicken Run. I'm sorry.
Germany technically gets two German language films would be nominated if that's the case. So you have nominees are Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Society of the Snow, Spain, The Teacher's Lounge, Germany. I'm actually curious what The Teacher's Lounge is about. That title makes me curious
about it. Yeah.
What?
I've heard some good things about it.
There's seedy stuff going on in the Teacher's Lounge. That's what I want to know. Like there always is. But
maybe.
Zone of Interest, United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Is Zone of Interest, is that like a World War I or World War II movie?
It's World War II.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's the family. It centers around the family of a commandant of a concentration camp.
That'll probably win, I think.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is this? Oh, wait a minute. I think I heard of this movie. Is that whenever like they're going about their day and you're hearing the screaming in the background?
Yeah.
I've heard about this movie. They're going to give it to this one. That's going to go to this one.
It'll win. It's nominated for Best Picture as well. Spoiler alert.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay,
I think it has the best chance.
Okay. So yeah, that's gonna win.
It is.
I will look for the Teacher's Lounge, though I am curious about that one now. Makeup and hairstyling, really? Give it to Golda. Helen Mirren's Golda haircut. There you go. I'm just. We move on. Do you have a thing you want to say about the makeup? The makeup and hairstyling. Oppenheimer. Actually, Oppenheimer. For Robert Downey Jr.
Oppenheimer's possible. Maestro, I know, has had a lot of buzz in that category.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. Here we go. I know Poor Things is nominated, but I got to tell you, the makeup in Poor Things, at least what I've seen, does look a little fake.
Gotcha. So, okay, so it could go to anything. It'll probably go to Oppenheimer.
It probably will. Yeah.
Okay. So, music, original score, Birdman's category. Right, Troy?
Yeah.
Score. Okay, so we have American Fiction, Laura Cartman, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny by John Williams. Which they didn't use any of the score in the trailers, which I thought was interesting for that one. Killers of the Flower Moon, Robbie Robertson, Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson, Poor Things, Jerskin Fendrix. They're gonna give it to Oppenheimer probably for this one too. What do you think?
Well, I would say yes, but there are two possibilities here as well. They could go with John Williams because it's going to be their final opportunity maybe to give it to him. You also have Robbie Robertson, who passed away, so it could be like a posthumous award. But I'm going to go with Oppenheimer. I like the score there. I haven't been able to get it out of my head since I've seen the movies. I'm going again with Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But there's the possibility there that John Williams, Robbie Robertson could sneak in. Because remember, Ludwig Göransson's won already. He won for Black Panther.
Well, yeah, but you can win again and again.
Well, you could, but
you know, Bernard Herrmann, I think, was only won a couple times, which is weird considering he's like the best film. People consider him the greatest film composer of all time. But music, original song nominees: "The Fire Inside" from Flaming Hot. Did Flaming Hot have a theatrical release?
If it did, it was a very minor one.
Okay. I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Was Ozzy, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. What Was I Made For?
No Peaches.
What?
No Peaches.
No Peaches.
From Super Mario Brothers. Yeah.
No. In fact, Super Mario Brothers didn't even get nominated for animated.
No.
They snubbed that, and
they did.
They just snubbed that because I didn't even think of that at the time. They could have given it a nomination.
I didn't either. I didn't think about it when I did my show on the nominations.
Well, no, I didn't either because it was released. It was released so early in the year. You probably forgot about it. But yeah, they snubbed Super Mario Brothers.
And I like that movie. We talked about it.
They snubbed another movie, which we'll be getting to when we get to the Best Picture. But anyway, so yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, Billie Eilish. Yeah, Barbie.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
that was not a good Bond song that she did. All right, and now okay. Go ahead. You were going to say sorry.
But another one that was interesting because this goes back to another category is American Symphony. That's a documentary, and that was one that a lot of people were talking about was going to get in for that category, and got left out as well. And as Sin is saying in the chat, "Am I Dreaming" from Spider-Man? Yeah, no, that's not in here either. No, so, but you know, Diane Warren got another nomination. She did the Flaming Hot song. Because the original song is usually Diane Warren and 4 other nominees. So that's But the Killers of the Flower Moon song, no one was talking about that. So
Okay.
that snuck in there.
Probably no. Well, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
So we have now the big one. Best Picture nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest. Okay. I have a suspicion as to what's going to win Best Movie. What do you think?
Well, since Corner is going to get this reference, called it. Yeah, pretty much halfway through the year, I pretty much guessed this list correctly. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by anything here.
Yeah, they could have surprised me by putting Sound of Freedom on this list. That might have been nice. Considering no, I mean, I'm sorry. Even with their new categories for what they nominated, it actually fits those perfectly too. So I knew they wouldn't give anything to Jim Caviezel, but I don't know. Maybe I was. Well, maybe we won't get into it here. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave it alone. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, or
I do have thoughts on that.
I don't know
because Sound of Freedom. And folks, I'm just going to say it. Sound of Freedom hit too close to home for them.
That's what I'm wondering, yeah.
They got called out. They know they got called out.
The movie itself does not specifically call out Hollywood, though. It just calls out America for taking part.
Yeah, indeed. As well it should.
Yeah.
But, they did their best to suppress this movie.
Yeah.
And what was the one studio that was the most responsible?
Disney. Do you think Disney used poll? Because here's the thing with this movie. 20th Century Fox had no problem with Sound of Freedom. It was going to get a regular release. They didn't see a problem with it. It's only when Disney took over 20th Century Fox that they tried burying this movie. So,
yeah.
I never even saw it as a real political movie. I think certain elements on our side made it political, and now I'm wondering what are they trying to hide. But we've been over this territory before. But
we have.
Yeah.
Another movie that's not there that should be is The Covenant.
The Covenant.
Covenant, Guy Ritchie film, Afghan war film, Jake Gyllenhaal, Dar Salim. It is another movie that does not follow a narrative.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
again, got completely buried. One thing being was it came out at the same time that Super Mario Brothers did.
Oh, I see. So it got buried. Of course, that's not really the same audience, but
no,
or maybe it is. I don't know.
But great movie. Should have been a Best Picture nominee. Dar Salim should have been supporting actor nominated. Not only supporting actor nominated, probably would win. That's how good his performance is. And again, because it is a movie that does not follow a narrative. It's a movie that is critical of a certain administration currently in power, let's say, and
interesting,
and it got left out.
I'm gonna watch this movie when I get a chance. This looks like something worth checking out.
It is.
Yeah, I like Guy Ritchie movies in general usually too, so I think I'll like this one.
The interesting
13 Hours was another movie that didn't follow a narrative, remember?
No, but at least 13 Hours got nominated for something.
Yeah.
It was a technical category, but at least it got nominated for something.
They weren't as bad. They've gotten more. They've gotten a little worse recently, but yeah.
I think they have.
Okay. But who do you think is going to win?
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's going to be Oppenheimer. Everything's pulling to that. It was going to be Oppenheimer or Barbie, but it looks like they just didn't want to give it. They didn't want to give Barbie too much. They did nominate it though. That's interesting, but I guess that's considered the popcorn movie that they threw on there. They did that with Star Wars. You know, Star Wars did get nominated for Best Picture. People forget this, but it was one of the 5. So,
you know, I mean, say what you want about Barbie, love it or hate it. It was a movie that did make over $1 billion. It's in the zeitgeist. You say Barbie, people know what you're talking about, you know. And it did well. Oppenheimer did almost as well.
They completely snubbed Super Mario Brothers, though.
They did.
Even for the best song, they just to have Jack Black coming on the stage and doing the song, you know.
Yes.
That would have been funny.
That would have been good.
You don't have to let it win. You could just nominate the song just so he could do the song on the stage. But I think they. I don't know. Yeah. So we're gonna spend the next hour talking about the live action short film. I'm kidding. I'm mean. Someone made an argument back in the day that you know the Oscars were getting so boring. They say, why not just show us the winning short film? You know, during the thing after it wins, just show it to us. It's short, right? You know. Sound design, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is on there. That's not the title of that movie anymore. You can't call it Part 1.
Apparently not. No.
Troy, what are your thoughts on this? You've been rather quiet during this whole conversation.
I have absolutely no opinions because I am completely checked out from these award shows. I think it's a big Hollywood circle jerk, and I don't give a damn.
Godzilla -1 is nominated for visual effects.
Yes.
They'll give it to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, probably. No, they'll probably give it to Napoleon. No, don't give it to Napoleon.
No.
I hope Napoleon gets nothing.
I don't. Honestly, I don't think Napoleon's going to get anything. To be perfectly honest.
Oh wait, I do want to get into the screenplay. There's adapted screenplay. Barbie. How is Barbie an adapted screenplay?
Barbie is in the adapted category because it's based on previously published or produced material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on a doll. Doll's an object. It's not a. You know what? I'm not even going to answer this. Okay.
Well, there does seem to be some category confusion. I think it should be in adapted, you know, because I mean, look at it. Even on the page of the opening page of the screenplay, it does say, you know, adapted from, you know, the Barbie toy line by Mattel. You know, it says.
But
on the
you
front
could also
cover,
argue
adapted.
that you could also
argue that it is an original. Yeah.
Noel, what I was going to say to the contrary is it's more than a toy line. She's had she meaning Barbie has had cartoons. She has had comic books. She has had TV shows.
You're saying, but is this movie based on one of those specific comic books or cartoon movies?
About as much as anything that Hollywood's been putting out that's based on whatever, but they're making crap up and it doesn't look anything like. I mean, look at Amazon's Rings of Power. I mean, they say that that's based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. It sure as hell ain't, but that's what they say. By the same criteria, this fits.
What was funny about Rings of Power was that I thought Amazon had the rights to the similar. You say it.
Similarities.
You mean the Silmarillion?
Yeah, I thought they had the rights to that, and then they said, no, we just have the rights to the appendices, and that was about the point in time where I felt we didn't need to keep covering that. I was like, forget it, this is the appendices. They're going to give it to Barbie for best original, for the adapted screenplay, and writing. What? No?
No.
Who's going to get
that? That would be Nolan as well.
Really? They're getting for Oppenheimer?
Good.
I'm assuming Oppenheimer, they did a biography book about him, maybe.
It's gonna be Oppenheimer. I would really, if it's not Nolan, I would really like to see American Fiction.
Well, that's probably the one that should win from what I could tell. But
It probably should. It is, again,
an
an outstanding movie. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Best original screenplay: Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, Past Lives. The Holdovers probably.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay.
I think so.
And now we're at the end. Any final thoughts on the Oscars deleted scenes? Are you excited? Is it going to turn out the gold?
I'm more invested this year because
are there
now
better
that
movies nominated this year?
Better movies for sure. Yeah. Okay. Now that I am, and since my channel in part covers film, I'm paying more attention this year than I think I ever really have before. And, I feel I'm a little bit more in tune is not the word I'm looking for. But
well, it's more fun when you're more familiar with what's being up.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with what's out there.
I've seen most of the nominees, and okay, I'll watch it because I'm curious. But when they started going to 9, that got me angry, though.
Yeah, I feel I'm a little more informed this year because I've paid such close attention to it. But I would be. Like if they were to go back to 5, say they went back to 5 this year.
Go back to 5, yeah, they should do that because the 9.
Then I would say look to the film editing category, and that would be the 5.
Oh, okay. So if they were going to 5, it would be I'm telling you, I want to talk about that live action short subject. I'm being mean.
Go for it.
No, I'm kidding. I'm so mean. More than you've done, boom. Yeah, I know. Okay.
Well, I tell you though, live action
Anatomy
short
of Fall,
film,
Holdovers, Killers of Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. Those are your 5 noms. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But going to since you have kind of brought it up as a joke, but to kind of bring live action short film up real quick, one of the nominees in that category is a movie called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
What?
And it is directed by Wes Anderson.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I
like
think
him.
That's probably going to win that category.
Okay,
it's got Benedict Cumberbatch in it, and it's the more high profile of the 5, and people have actually seen it, so because I think it was on like HBO Max or something. But
cool. All right. Yeah. Well, I'll look for that one. But yeah, he's dabbled in animation before too, right? So this is.
He has.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah. Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I still have to watch
Isle of Dogs.
I need to watch that. I do have a digital copy of that, which will be great when they decide to take it away from me. Anyway.
Isle of Dogs is fantastic. I love that movie. It is so good. Fantastic Mr. Fox is really good too. But Isle of Dogs definitely is next level.
I like Fantastic Mr. Fox. Yeah. Did you ever see Fantastic Mr. Fox, Troy?
No, I've never even heard of it.
It's great. It's based on a Roald Dahl book, and Wes Anderson directed it. So it's almost like a Wes Anderson movie for kids, but it still is a Wes Anderson movies. And it said, and instead of using the F word, they say, "Are you cussing with me?" No, I'm cussing with you. You know what I mean? They just use the word cuss whenever they want to say a cuss word. The word cuss is in there. It's funny. And there's this part in this movie where this like hippie type writes a song about the brave, Mr. Fox and all the stuff he's doing. Mm-hmm. And then one of the farmer comes over and breaks his banjo toward the end. He says, "You wrote a bad song, Timmy." And I was nodding my head. Yes, you did. And I was reminded of the Disney Robin Hood movie with the dude with the rooster singing the song at the beginning. I was like, that's another song I felt was bad.
Oh, see, I happen to really like that one.
Yeah, it's okay. A lot of people like the Disney Robin Hood. I'm just not. Okay, so I think this wraps up Oscars. It might be more interesting to watch this year if you're so inclined. So there we go. Still annoyed at no Peaches nomination and no. Again, Sound of Freedom, most important movie of the year. Of course, I remember the Oscars didn't nominate Sicario for anything hardly, right, when it came out. And I thought it was the best movie that year, too. Remember? Sicario?
Sicario, I think, got like a couple of tech nominations,
like sound editing or something.
Yeah,
Benicio del Toro should have gotten a nomination.
He should have been nominated. I agree. Yeah.
Ridiculous. All right, so now we have the news. Anything left to say about the Oscars? I guess just I guess we'll hear your report when it's over, right, on your own channel, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Slide 1, Geeky Geezers. Here we go.
Hey, who's that guy?
I'm sorry. I see your little special thing next to the Oscar statue. I know you probably weren't intending it that to be funny, but it feels like it's funny. All right, and box office poison and other things. Let's move on to our first story of the night, which was... Oh, that was supposed to be my Oscars. I was going to have that on when we were doing the Oscars talk. Troy... Oh. Why did you tell me to put the Sally Field picture up there?
Dude, I have no idea what you've got on your slideshow. It's your slideshow.
Anyway, I was supposed to leave that up there the whole time we were talking about the Oscars. Oh, well. Time to get on to the notes for Geeky Geezers. We're not doing that. Unfortunately, we have some sad news tonight. Another celebrity death. Yeah. So I did pick that picture because that's sort of what I know him best from. But, of course, he was on a bunch of other stuff, too. But, first story of the night, Star Trek star Gary Graham, dead at 73, also Alien Nation and JAG. Gary Graham, famous for Star Trek Enterprise, has died, according to his loved ones. The veteran TV actor passed away Monday, an announcement that was delivered by his ex-wife, Susan Lavelli, who didn't offer cause of death or any other details about the circumstance. She did, however, have a touching remembrance of her husband. She noted his current wife, Becky, was by his side and added, Gary was funny, sarcastic, was funny, sarcastic sense of humor, but was kind. But kind, fought for what he believed in, a devout Christian, and was so proud of his daughter, Haley. This was so sudden, so please pray for our daughter as she navigates through this thing called grief. Fly high into the heavens, Gary. Gary is perhaps the most recognizable from his time on Star Trek Enterprise, where he played Ambassador Sovol from 2001 to 2005 for a total of 12 episodes. However, another major claim to fame of his came from the late 80s show Alien Nation, on which he was the co-lead. Other shows he's been on for a significant amount of time, Mantis. Remember Mantis?
I do remember Mantis, yes. Yep.
JAG, Universal Dead, and others. He is also guest starred on Renegades, Work-Related, Nip Tuck, Nass Bridges, Walker, Texas Ranger, The Dukes of Hazzard, Alan Beale, and more. I wonder who he was on Nip Tuck. I used to watch Nip Tuck. That was a guilty pleasure of mine. He also had some films on his resume, including The Spy Within, The Last Warrior, The Arrogant, All the Right Moves, Robot Jocks, Steel, and lots of others. Remember Robot Jocks?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so he's survived by his daughter Haley. Gary was 73. Well, I'm sorry to see him go.
73. See, he was older than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Think about this. The first thing that I probably ever saw him in, and of course this would be going back to before I knew him, because he came into my, it's that guy from Alien Nation. It was Alien Nation, right? Back in 77. He was in an episode of 8 is Enough, and I used to watch 8 is Enough all the time. He would have been 27 at that time. It's not like he was playing a kid, right? He was 27 years old back in 77.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he was in an episode of Starsky and Hutch. He was in an episode of The Incredible Hulk in 1979. mean, Dukes of Hazzard... but yeah, then when I had loved the movie of Alien Nation, and so when they made a series out of it, I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, I used to watch the series. I remember when it was on, and it was dealing with like science fiction does well. It was kind of looking at modern issues, but through a different lens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And,
it was like a police procedural with, instead of it being like back in the 70s, it would have been a black and a white cop. This was, a human and an alien.
And an alien. And let's see, Spotted Gecko Dude is kind of hot. Well, you know what? I'll say this. His romantic interest on the show, she was one of the aliens too. She was nice looking, I thought. Remember?
Yes, she was.
And it was tough though, because of course the aliens have different diets. I remember he made lasagna for her one time, but it made her sick because they can't eat cooked food. I think that was one of the things.
Interesting, yeah.
But
you remember what they would get drunk on? Where you and I would drink like bourbon, whiskey, gin. What did they drink?
Sour milk.
Sour milk. That's right.
I did find it interesting that this was one of these shows where you had a big outcry from the fans when it got canceled because they left on a cliffhanger. Remember that?
Yeah.
But then they did a TV movie to sort of at least to wrap up that partial storyline, right? About the virus. Remember
wasn't that like The Enemy Within or something like? Or no, there was a couple of movies because there was also the Adara Legacy.
Yeah, they did a few of them, and it was. I remember they actually picked up from when the finale left off with them. I think there was a hate group that created an alien virus, right, that would kill the aliens off, right? So
yeah. But I do think that most of the audience would know him as Saval on Star Trek. Although, keep in mind, he actually played a couple different roles in Star Trek, but his most regular role was the Ambassador Saval from Enterprise. And then he reprised that role in some other shows, including the fan film, the fan, what would you call it, trailer or promo for a movie they're still working on, called Axanar, but he played the same role.
Yes.
Update on Axanar, that it is expected to come out by the end of the year this year, and he has already filmed his scenes for it. So,
well, that's good.
We may still get to see him in whatever form Axanar ultimately does take. But yeah, and although I've met a lot of Star Trek, personalities. Gary Graham is not one of them. I did not have the honor, but someone in our community did. Big Al, do you have that picture up in your slideshow that I sent you? Or did you not pay attention to what I sent you?
Me?
Yes.
I'll add it real quick. Keep talking.
Yeah.
Why did you send it to me? Hold on.
I sent you notes about cropping it. I said you could put it into your slideshow. You don't pay attention. You're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I will take care of it. Okay.
But Big Al actually did have an opportunity to meet him personally, and I thought that was pretty cool. It's almost like there's a personal connection there with our community. So, wanted to share that with all of you.
Yeah. So I'll pick that up. But Stephen, how about yourself? Did you were you familiar with him?
I was. Obviously through Alien Nation was the main one. I'm trying to remember if I saw Robot Jocks before that or not, or if it was during. But it was that time period where I became most aware of him. But now that I'm learning of what his kind of prior television resume was, I've probably seen him in other things and has never made the connection before.
Anyway, Troy, this is not my fault. When I looked at the latest thing on MeWe, this was covered up. Okay.
Yeah,
he's not buying.
You read like other people I know. You only look at the last thing that was sent, and when I've sent you 25 different things, you don't ever scroll up.
Give me a second, okay? It was well hidden, anyways. So
scrolling. Your donkey's rolling.
I will post this. Give me a second. In fact, it might even let me just upload the image.
Gorilla Raid, thank you, Gorilla Random Thoughts.
What's he saying?
He just said Gorilla Raid. It means because he had said he had to go do something, and now he's back.
Gotcha. All right.
17 watching. Can we get 17 thumbs up? I'd really appreciate it.
He just finished his live show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Live show.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why he wasn't here live with us. He said he was going to catch the rewatch, but all you really missed was the Oscars talks. And if you're not into the Oscars, well, now the show's actually starting.
I apologize for tanking the first hour of the program.
Hey, you did exactly what you were asked to do. You don't have to apologize. Some people actually like that crap.
Okay.
And I don't judge that.
You don't judge that.
I don't judge people that like crap. There's plenty of crap I like.
All right, give me a second.
There was actually another fan film that he was in, Star Trek Renegades, where he also played Saval.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. He did not play Saval. He played a character named Ragnar. So it was another role that he played in Renegades.
He was in the alternate universe episodes of Star Trek Enterprise too, right?
May have been in a Mirror Darkly. If he wasn't, he should have been because
he was. I remember that because I think he got killed by the evil version of
Archer.
Archer, the evil version of Archer. Archer knocked him off.
Interesting.
Yeah, give me one sec. Almost got the PDF made. Give me one sec.
Sure.
Anyway. All right. But I did also want to mention Deleted Scenes is on with me. You can catch him. You can catch me on his channel every Tuesday.
Is on almost 24 hours on his channel. Subscribe and just leave his channel on at all times. There will be a new show, like every 5 minutes.
Okay. But yeah, let me go
I
ahead.
exaggerate, but only slightly.
Only slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, he sleeps on air. He sleeps on air because he doesn't have time to sleep otherwise.
What are you people doing in my room?
Yeah, exactly.
Lady Miss is on my side because I'm getting yelled at. Poor agent.
One of these
Normally
days.
I scroll up, but I figure by Sunday we're done. Okay. Anyway, I got it almost there. It's coming. All right.
One of these days, Deleted Scenes, I'm afraid you're going to fall asleep in front of leaving the live stream open. You're going to wake up and go, "What happened? Where am I? What's going on?
Well,
am I on my stream or someone else's?"
I have a confession to make, Troy. If you noticed your Friday night last call, and if you noticed that Saturday morning someone was still watching. Yeah,
I did not know.
Sleep in front of the computer.
Well, good. I can always use the watch time. I super appreciate it.
Anyway, you see the picture?
There you go. Big Al presents.
And look at that. You can tell this is a guy that's good with the fans. See?
Absolutely. This was
a genuine smile. That's not a fake. That's
exactly. Not to mention, he wasn't afraid to put his hand on your shoulder and show you some affection. These were in the days before they, no, can't touch anybody because, that'll come back to haunt you later. But,
I felt bad one time Keanu Reeves was doing a hug, but his hands weren't quite on the girl's shoulder.
They hover. They do he does the hover, yeah, exactly.
Because that's where we are now. Because we're going to be in Blade Runner territory soon. This is just... But, I
got to tell you, there's so many celebrities that Netter and I have met. And, we talk about this on Tuesdays with the whole Twin Peaks thing. All of the celebrities that I've met, if I didn't get a handshake, I got a hug, I got a kiss, and no one ever thought anything of it. It was just... truly friendly, So.
Great guy and a pleasure to have met him, says Big Al Presents.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll be missed, and it is sad. But yeah, I mean, I will know him, but I know him best from Alienation. Some people know him best from Star Trek, or the various other things, or maybe that Incredible Hulk episode you saw, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and those are the kinds of little gems, right? Because you go back, you revisit a show that you liked, and then you see, oh, that's Gary Graham. I didn't know he was in this.
He's one of those faces you always knew who he was when you saw him.
Right.
Oh, I know that guy. You know,
yeah.
he was a consummate character actor. But yeah, Alien Nation, though, great show. I hesitate to think that was probably owned by Fox, so that means Disney probably owns it now, don't they?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we might get a remaster of that or something, but oh well. But rest in peace, Gary.
Yep.
Now we move on to Pixar.
Yeah, this is the beginning of our little weekly Dismal Disney.
Yeah. So.
And this is not a big surprise, you know, especially a lot of other channels have been covering this, but I think this is the kind of thing that everyone knew this was coming, even if you didn't.
Yes.
Good choice of picture for this one too.
Well, you know what it is? It's the lamp, but the lamp
Yes,
looks
it is.
kind of dim, doesn't it?
It's dim and sad, exactly.
Yes. Pixar, once the ensemble powerhouse of American theatrical animation, suffered yet another blow to its reputation as moviegoers rejected this weekend's theatrical release of Soul, a film that has been available on Disney Plus streaming service since late 2020. Its release in 1,350 locations grossed a meager $429,000 estimated over 3 days and $557,000 over the 4-day Martin Luther King holiday weekend. Soul landed in 19th place behind the 9th weekend of DreamWorks Animation's Trolls Band Together, which delivered $450,000 from 618 theaters over 3 days, or twice as much per theater, $728, as the launch of Soul in as the launch of Soul, $318.
Yeah.
Okay. The Disney's decision to launch Soul in theaters, followed by theatrical re-releases of returning Red and Luca in the coming months, is an interesting, if not particularly well-conceived experiment to see if market exists for Pixar films that have already been released and remain available on streaming. I'm going to answer that no.
The problem with this experiment is it's not a controlled experiment, because when you get the results, you can't. There are too many variables that could be at play here. There could be the element of it's available on streaming. I've already seen it on streaming. Why do I want to go and spend the money at the theater when I can get it for free or not an extra cost on my streaming service? There's that element. You'll never know how much it would have garnered you if you'd released it, you know, for 60, 90 days in the theater before it went to stream, right? But on the other hand, there is also what I suspect is a huge possibility. People are not interested at all in what Pixar is doing anymore. They're not watching it on streaming. They're not going to the theater to see it. But you can't draw that conclusion just from this, you know. But it certainly is an indictment of the streaming model that we've been saying ever since they started to pull back from the COVID mandates. If you don't stop this, releasing it first or day and date on stream, you will kill your entire business model. You will kill the cinemas. You will kill downstream revenues, the multiple revenues you could be getting for this stuff, and that's on you, you stoonods.
Yeah. Also, I think I don't know how this movie is in comparison to the others. This looked the most promising out of the three.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, they kicked Lasseter out a while ago, and he took a lot of people, and a lot of people have gone with him. Apparently, they've been purging Pixar. So
yeah,
what are you left with, right?
See, and that's the element of this whole DEI push that nobody really talks about. Not only are you bringing in a bunch of diversity hires that clearly don't have the talent, but the talent you did have is leaving and going elsewhere. And so you're going to be seeing studios coming out doing very, very well in the very near future. It takes time to build a studio. But as you do, and I think over at Skydance and whatnot, that's where you're going to start seeing the talent landing. The whole Pixar thing's going to start all up again. Maybe Netter and I should go and get a little stock over at Skydance, you know, like we did with Pixar back in the day.
Because well, frankly, Pixar used to be owned by Apple, and now who owns, does Apple now own Skydance, or at least they're friendly with them, so this is almost like...
If Apple's smart, they will stay friendly with everybody.
Apparently, Disney had scored nearly $10 million from the re-release of Nightmare Before Christmas in the fall. I mean,
Now,
that's a
see,
re-release for $10 million.
that says a lot,
Yeah.
because that has been out on streaming, that has been out in the theaters, that has been out
DVD, Blu-ray,
on
VHS.
physical media and stuff, and people are still going to the theater to see it. That tells you people will show up for quality, regardless of how many other ways they have to see it.
I have purchased
That is the indictment.
I purchased Nightmare Before Christmas 3 times. I got the VHS when it came out.
Yep.
I then bought it again on DVD.
Yep.
And then I bought it again on Blu-ray. Look at that.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting it. I have not been making a big push to replace my DVDs with Blu-rays, but yeah, there was a lot of VHSs that I replaced with Blu-ray. So yeah, you could say there's a lot of movies. For all the movies Netter and I have, a lot of them are duplicated, so they got more than their share of money from us.
Exactly.
And most of them we saw at the theater too. That's what I'm talking about this multiple revenue streams. We went to see it at the theaters, we bought it on VHS. When DVD came out, we bought it on DVD too.
You know, in the old days, they had another revenue stream. It was renting it. And then you would buy it later. Remember that?
True.
Going
But
down
in
to
most of those
Blockbuster?
cases, I'll be honest, I was renting it because I didn't see it in the theater.
True. If you'd already seen the theater, I'm going to wait for it to either become available for purchase or wait for it to come to HBO or Showtime or something like that.
Exactly. If you've already seen it and you know it's good enough that you're going to want to see it again, you buy it. Especially when the prices on DVD came down to be so reasonable.
Oh, yeah. They were very good in the beginning because I told you, Warner Brothers, I think, got angry over Blockbuster saying they weren't going to put DVDs in their stores. And like, okay, well, price to own then. That's what they said.
Yeah.
That'll be a topic for another time, though. But
Yeah.
now let's move on from Pixar. I predicted that this wasn't going to do well, and I'm sorry if Soul didn't do well. I don't see how the other two are going to do well.
It's too bad about Soul because it's actually not a bad film.
I heard Soul from the look of it looked like a traditional Pixar
It's
movie.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
traditional Pixar film, yeah. And
Lasseter
unfortunately,
may have been involved in the pre-production of that.
I think he was.
Yeah. So Soul might be good, but you can check out Soul for free. Well, not for free, but if you have Disney Plus or if you
And
want to go
real
down
quick, I want to welcome Sashi to the stream. Judging
Welcome
from
back,
how
Sashi.
the lamp looks, someone should hide the cable and check on it regularly. Yes, thank you very much, Sashi.
Oh, that was funny. I remember in the movie The Brave Little Toaster when they were like, get the cord out of the vacuum's mouth, like he was going to choke on the cord like you choke on the tongue or something.
Right.
All right, and now we have, of course, Hope Star Wars Theory doesn't mind me using his visage here, but he is a member of the fan community, and
Yep.
I've never seen Star Wars Theory as a political figure. Have you?
No,
He
not
is
at all.
a Star Wars fan, but he
Yeah.
will share his opinions if he likes something or doesn't like something. I don't even think he's Fandom Menace, is he? I think he's just doing his own thing.
I do too. I don't think he's intentionally Fandom Menace, but
Yeah.
he has been pegged that way because, let's face it, everyone who is a fan who has a strong opinion is hated by Lucasfilm, and therefore to them is Fandom Menace. They hate their fans, and he is the face of the fandom to them.
So yeah, well, they were the ones originally too. Lucasfilm, when Pablo Hidalgo came out and made fun of him for crying when Luke showed up on Mandalorian. Remember
Yeah.
that? That was one of our earlier things. Rolling Stone and writer C.T. Jones ran a hit piece against popular Star Wars YouTuber Star Wars Theory, implying that he's a racist and a sexist after having a conversation with psychologist Sadia Khan.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what, I'll save my thoughts. Okay. Jones and Rolling Stone specifically take issue with a statement made by Khan during her appearance on Star Wars Theory's Talks channels. She said, do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't. And women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. However, there was much more context to the quote that Jones and Rolling Stone shaped their entire article and narrative around. So they took something out of context.
Exactly. No, shocker,
Yeah.
right?
And Star Wars Theory points out in his rebuttal video, He asked Khan about Charmin Obey-Chinoy's comments on New Year's, where she said, CNN, I'm very thrilled about the project because I think what we are about to create is something very special, and we are in 2024 now. I think it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away. He would ask her, what's your overall consensus when a female director wants to come in and reshape something and say, it's plant that flag and say, hey, I'm a woman and hear me roar. Here's my way of making this sort of franchise, which is already established. Now something that's feminine dominant or female dominant instead of just a good story, ? Okay. And Khan answered, I think what happens in particular in Western cultures where women have it so easy, but they pretend they're not. What happens with women who generally have it quite easy, they enjoy victimhood because that's the only way they can feel part of other people's struggle. What makes human beings feel alive is when they're a bit of struggling, when they're going through something, a bit of trauma, they've gone through something, it makes them feel alive. What happened with women in the Western world particularly is because there's no real oppression, but they want to be victims so bad because victimhood is just a way of shortcoming sympathy. It's a shortcut to entitlement. You get what you want without having to earn it because you just happen to be a victim, she reiterated.
Yeah.
So what happens is they want to start finding places where they can be a victim and then transform it so they can be the hero, Khan explained. So what they do is say, oh, we need more women in this particular sport. Nobody watches them. Nobody wants women in there, and they just stamp their authority so they can be a local hero. She then addressed Star Wars. Do we need more women in Star Wars? No, we don't. Women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. But they want to be like, oh, there's such a deprivation. We got to be in it so we can be a mini hero. This is his guest saying this, not him. Just so we know. When you don't have anything outside your gender as a way of being proud of yourself, use your gender as a shortcut to entitlement or an heroic stance, she emphasized. So I would just say, unfortunately, it is the norm in Western culture to kind of over-identify with your gender, then over-identify with victimhood. It's a way of getting a shortcut to being a hero, and as a result, it's just there to... And what it does, it keeps power in the hands of women, and whenever you redirect power entirely to women, it's just like entirely to men. It creates an unhealthy society. Okay.
Yeah. I get it, in context, I get what she's saying. If you take literally that small snippet, she's flat out wrong. Because we all know that
plenty of women love
I would bet you every woman who is here in the chat with us, Netter sitting across from me, right? People like all the women of Toxic Femme, right? Especially Anna, that Star Wars girl. These are women that love Star Wars. And I have a lot of, maybe they're not so much friends after COVID, but, prior to COVID, I had a lot of female friends that were big Star Wars fans too, But one cannot disagree that Star Wars wasn't made to be specifically for women. Actually, honestly, I don't think Lucas put that much thought into it, whether it was for women or men.
No, probably not. But
it was just the general
adventure story. Yes.
Yeah, general adventure story, monomyth, and so forth. But when it came to marketing it, which is only a little bit George, it was more Kenner and the people that licensed it. Yes, they absolutely did market the toys to boys because it was action adventure.
Yes.
Does that mean girls were excluded or whatever? Hell no. I remember that when I would get together with my buddies Mike and David in grade school, we tried to bring in one of the girls to play Princess Leia, and every now and again, Allison or Kathy would come and, okay, I'll be the princess, and whatnot. And they had seen the movie, so it wasn't, I want to play Princess Leia and we're going to go to a tea party together. It was, okay, let's escape from the Death Star, Yeah,
just like there are things that are sometimes made maybe with a female audience in mind, too, that also men will enjoy. Like, I'll be honest, I was a Sailor Moon fan back in the day. I would watch Sailor Moon. I wasn't nuts about it, like I didn't get posters or anything, but I found the show kind of funny, and that's why I like it.
The guys over at Midnight's Edge like to talk about He-Man. I loved the Filmation He-Man series. When they came out with She-Ra, I wanted to love it, but there was this huge divide right? Because they specifically were making it for women, so the boys all noped out.
Yeah.
And there was no female audience for it. Plus, the toys were not in scale with the previously existing He-Man toys, which was a huge marketing miss. As a result, it all died. And, you know, this was the prototype. This is what should have told the entire industry. Don't blow up your boys, you know, thing for a female audience. You know, let it be organic. You can bring women in, but, you know, don't make it exclusively for one or the other. And they keep messing this shit up.
In defense of his guest, though, the guest this was her reaction to that director's comments, Chinoy, right?
Exactly.
That's what she was referring to. She was not a Star Wars fan.
Right.
She was coming into this with that. That's the type of women. Now, of course, there are women out there that are service. I mean,
but that is not an unfair way of saying it either. Yeah. Particularly because, as you said, she's probably not a Star Wars fan. She doesn't understand it, but she's at least gracious enough to go, well, like I just did, right?
Yeah, but that's what she was seeing as someone who's not a Star Wars fan, and she can tell what another
exactly.
non-fan looks
this
like.
Is what it is. Yes. It's very successful. Let it be what it is. Don't F around with a winning formula. You know, that is a fair, even if her attributions of what made it successful aren't on key, she's right overall. And all those women that I just quoted, you know, have all said they don't like the new Star Wars either. It has marginalized Princess Leia. Yes, a lot of people like Andor, and part of that is the Mon Mothma character, right? Who never really got enough film time in Return of the Jedi. But you know, women have the female characters are incredibly important in the Star Wars legacy.
Yes.
And nobody ever complained about Leia or Aunt Beru or Mon Mothma or Padme or any of the female Jedi. Well, maybe a little bit of Ahsoka, but she could be very insufferable. But, you know, and then as we go from there, it does tend to get a little more girl bossy. Okay, I'm noping out.
Yes.
Once the Force became female, okay, you find your female audience, because I'm done.
I'm waiting for Chinoy's movie. We'll find out the dark side comes because they're males in the universe. That's where it comes from.
Oh, you're not even whistling Dixie. You've heard the story that what's his name? Filoni and his Satan-worshipping wife want, where the dark side is now going to be female too. The witches of Dathomir and their, you know...
Oh, for the love of peace.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is The Thing, original black and white movie. You know, in that movie, that one woman in it, got served coffee or served meal. Oh, are you talking about the John Carpenter?
No. The original, The Thing from Another World.
There was a woman in the original Thing that wasn't the Carpenter movie, though. Wasn't there? I didn't see it though, so I don't know. I know Carpenter said that
there are women in the original film, and they're equal to the men. They aren't belittled and they aren't shoved to the background. You know, they kind of gave it out as good as they got it in that movie. So
what's interesting about when he did his version of The Thing, he wanted to see how men would bounce off each other, just have it be all men, how they bounce off each other. It's different than if you had like a female influence there. If you want to see the opposite of that with women dealing with a horrific situation, a group of women, watch the movie The Descent. If you like The Thing, because now you get to see something like if women are dealing with a horrible situation like that, how they would deal with that. Like women, I don't know if I want to say they're survivor types, but they're spelunkers. It's like a female spelunking team, so that they do it as a hobby, and it's a good movie. But
but the thing about The Descent, though, not that I'm going off on a tangent, but the thing about the Descent, though, is that you have somebody within the group actively working against someone else in the group, and that affects everything that's going on.
I know what you mean. We'll have to have a discussion about it sometime. Yeah. I know what you're talking about, though. I think I know what you're talking about, though. I thought it was from from her point of view, it was from altruistic reasons, or because of guilt of something she did. Maybe that's the better term to use. We'll talk.
It certainly leaves itself open to some interpretation.
And it also depends on what ending of the movie you choose to go with.
I've only seen the unrated version, so I'm curious as to what the original ending, how that's different. I'll look for it.
Yeah.
Another choose your own adventure movie.
We can talk.
Are you not a fan of the choose your own adventure movie thing?
I have always been of the mind, if the alternate ending exists, give it to the fans on DVD so that they get the choice. But I do want them to. I want writers to just freaking commit. What is the ending? Decide.
Make
your movie and put it out.
I think the writers want to commit, and then the cigar chomping producer steps in and says, "No."
Yeah. Because with the ending of The Descent, not to blow it for anybody who maybe hasn't seen it yet,
right?
Is that one ending makes sense psychologically it's in keeping with the rest of the film, whereas the other ending is just a jump scare.
Yeah.
But so you have one jump scare, whereas the other one is more. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. So I'll look for it. I'll look for that theatrical version just to see if I can.
I'll tell you, when it comes to alternate endings, I think the best movie for alternate endings, and not all of them are good, is Butterfly Effect.
Oh yeah,
that's got like 5 alternate endings, and one of the theatrical release is good. The original intended ending is better, but very, very dark, very downer ending. And the other endings are like, yeah, these never should have existed.
Exactly.
Have any of you ever seen a movie called Joyride?
No, I don't think so.
I believe I did years ago.
It was Lily Sobieski, Paul Walker, and Steve Zahn.
No, I don't think I did see that. Now I think about it. Okay.
Where it is good, but on the DVD, there is an alternate, not only an alternate ending, an alternate third act.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. Yeah.
I'll look for that movie now. Now I'm curious about that. But I did bring up, to get back to this, I did bring this up just because the media is coming after fan communities now, the mainstream media, and they're going to start brandishing us as all sorts of things. I know they've been doing it anyway, but now the more mainstream outlets that aren't like the fan sites, now they're going to be coming after us too. So.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Star Wars Theory, as I've said, is not a political guy. At least he just talks about Star Wars. That's all he does, right?
No,
but that also tells you a lot about the people working at Lucasfilm Limited. It's not about Star Wars and it's not about the story. It's all about the friggin' politics. So if you don't like what they're putting out, it's political and it's personal and it's sexist and racist and whatever other istophobe they want to throw in there.
And then you have to also take into consideration Rolling Stone magazine. Now, Rolling Stone magazine has always been left-leaning.
Yeah, but they've gone way off the deep end.
Off the deep end. And I think they really went off of the cliff when they put... Dzhokhar Tsarnaev on the cover.
Oh yeah.
Not only are you putting, and I'm going to call him what he is, a child murdering terrorist.
Yep.
On the cover of their magazine, and called him a misunderstood genius.
Yeah.
Yep.
And these are the same people who are going after Star Wars Theory. You tell me whose side I'm going to take in that argument.
Yeah.
It's a real shame we've gotten to this point. I keep thinking it's darkest before the dawn, but how far is the dawn away still, right? Because it just keeps getting darker. All right. So, next article. this is games. Probably neither of you may have a dog in this hunt, but it does show how certain things are changing in the world as far as because of all the woke stuff. Okay, so behind the global success of Japanese video games lies a delicate task, appealing to overseas players whose expectations on issues such as sexism are increasingly influencing the content of major titles. Is it really players or is it the journalists that review the game? So let's not bring me into this. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's move on. Hold on. I skipped into the palm.
I got to say something about this this image here. When I first saw it, I did not realize it was a game. It could very well have been a film. You know?
Yeah. The graphics are getting better on these games, and this is from the Yakuza series from Japan, which I think now they're calling it Like a Dragon because that's closer to the actual Japanese title.
Fair.
But this is a game series where you'll often play a member of the Yakuza, which is the Japanese organized crime.
Right.
But it's interesting because, like with the show Tokyo Vice, you'll realize there's some Yakuza that are worse than others. Like, some actually have a code they follow, even though they are criminals of a kind, and then there are others that are worse. Sort of like Tulsa King, how Stallone's mobster has a code of honor he follows, too, even though he's a part of the Italian mafia. But behind the global success of Japanese video games, okay, we already mentioned that. With the majority of sales for big games now outside of Japan, everything from slang words to characters' costumes must be carefully considered for a global audience. It is a complex process that has come a long way since the Wild West of the 1980s and 90s, according to one high-profile localization team. Localization is what we call when we translate a Japanese game for an audience, whether it be European or American, Canadian. There were no rules, no industry standards, and the quality of localization could vary greatly from one title to the next. Yeah, there were some bad localizations back in the day. Says Sega of America team that worked on Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, the latest in the Yakuza series, releasing Friday. But in recent years, booming interest in manga, comics, anime, and wider Japanese culture has made the job easier. People know what ramen is now, so we don't need to say noodles anymore, Genji says. His team, of course, it is noodles, though.
Right. But it's a specific type of noodles.
That's fine, but yeah, that's true.
See, this is, let me interject here because this is something that I'd been wanting to say about this. When it comes to translation, there is a responsibility that the translator has. Right? We talk about this. You can think about it in terms of, as we were talking about before, translating a comic or a book or something into a movie or TV show. Right? We get really upset as fans when they don't do it well, right? And we hold up examples like, I would argue like Batman Begins, but I think the high watermark is Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, right? Where they are very faithful to the source material, right? When you are translating, you don't want it to become, you want it to minimize the whole post office telephone concept, right? You don't want it to be translated into a whole bunch of different languages and then by the time you get to the end, it means something completely different. You want, when you translate from Japanese to English, you cannot translate word for word. That's called transliteration. And that ends up, because of the way the languages work, word order, syntax, things like that, you end up with word salad. But the translator has to think in his mind, what is it that they are trying to say in Japan, and what is the closest way of saying it in English to get the same thing across. And it's not just about language, it's about culture. When you get to things like jokes don't usually don't translate at all. So you either have to find some way of explaining that joke within the context of the movie or book or game, or you got to put in a different joke that would resonate the same way to the English-speaking audience that it does to the Japanese audience. That's where you can make a change that is justified, because you can't translate literally. You are translating the spirit of the intent. Okay, so I'm sorry. Go on.
No, because I've had Spanish-speaking friends, who are bilingual, and they say some Spanish jokes they don't they don't translate well to English. Like something gets lost.
Well,
They try
when I have
Mexico, you know, yeah.
when people come to me and say, "Can you translate some idiom?" Idioms are the worst.
Yeah.
Can you translate this idiom into Klingon? And I go, I could translate that literally into Klingon and it would be meaningless because it doesn't fit the Klingon culture. However, there is an idiom that already exists in Klingon that has the kind of meaning that this idiom in English does. You probably would want to say this, you know? So, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, that's...
Well, think about some of our sayings, too. Like,
Yeah.
needle in a haystack. Would that necessarily translate well? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it would take... If you're in a culture that doesn't have an agrarian society where hay or hay bales or hay stacks are in the popular culture, you either completely wouldn't understand it or it would take you a while of thinking about it to get what they're saying. Look, if you didn't understand needle in a haystack and I said, well, this is a haystack. If I were to throw a needle into it, you know, how easy would it be to find that needle? That's finding needle in a haystack. Okay, yeah, now that makes sense, but it doesn't, it's pointless as an idiom because we had to spend this much time talking about it. The whole idea of an idiom is, you know, I know exactly what you mean as soon as I hear that sentence. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that is the context that I thought was very important for this article.
Yeah, and it can be challenging, but this article goes into other things too besides just certain things with language, which okay, and this is titled under No Longer Acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm of mixed feelings on this, and I'll explain why I'm of mixed in a minute. A better understanding of Japanese culture among players means adaptations can be more subtle. The Yakuza series is now called Like a Dragon, close to the original Japanese. LGBTQ plus caricatures and sexist cliches have also been axed. So yeah, I think there was one of the older Yakuza games where you had to help this cross-dressing man, but it was done in a humorous way, and then I think people took offense to that. So that was from years ago. Many representations which were normal in Japan, like in the first Like a Dragon games, are no longer acceptable today, says Masayoshi Yokoyama, the series executive producer. We asked our teams in the United States and Europe to read the game's script and tell us if they see things that wouldn't be acceptable in their country. Changes often focus on alcohol, politics, or religion. Froger asked while cultural reference points also differ. When there are people dressed in black boots and big leather coats in Europe, that could bring to mind a Yahtzee uniform.
Yeah.
Localization is now integral to the design process with international gamers in mind from the start. One key example is how Japanese game developers dress their heroines as the Me Too movement changes mindsets, says Frank Genti, senior localization manager at Japanese game giant Bandai Namco. We tell them that the cleavage is a bit too exposed or the skirt is a bit too short, he adds. Before they weren't very flexible, but now they become more proactive on these subjects. So this is sort of where we are.
Yeah. Real quick, let's say hi to JPRPH1 and Leia Rose. Leia Rose, yeah, there's another great example of a female Star Wars fan. As we were just talking about in the last segment. Just saying, it's not just a boys brand, but that's beside the point. We're moving on now. I get what he's saying here, but here's my issue with all of this. This comes down to the ugly American who doesn't understand that outside the United States, not everyone thinks the same way we do. Cultures are different.
Yes.
And this is when look at the concept of the ugly American. It's this American thinks that the world revolves around him, right? That our culture is superior, and they look down their nose at everyone else. It's a very, to use a modern term, it's a very racist worldview. And I feel that if you are doing something that's perfectly acceptable in your culture and you want to export it, Well, the people you're exporting it need to understand your culture. And if they're offended by it, that's on them. Maybe they need to learn a little bit more about the cultures outside of their own four walls.
But they want all cultures to be the same all around the world.
That's too damn bad. That ain't how it works.
Anyway, I want to mention something, that these Yakuza games take place in modern Japan. Okay,
right.
So this is not like a fantasy setting. These are supposed to take place in Tokyo and other cities around Japan. Sometimes they take place in different cities in Japan, but they're taking place in modern Japan, and I think that they are trying to reflect what they're seeing. I understand the pains that these developers are going through, because I think they pretty much had it. For starters, these games are selling very well overseas, and at this point they're making more money off of American and European sales than they are from their domestic audience on these.
But at the same time, you're also talking about what would be the equivalent of mature rating, right?
These are M-rated. These are like it's like an R rating, yes.
So I don't even want to hear any discussion about cleavage and short skirts, because it's already for mature audiences.
The people that buy the Yakuza games don't give a crap about this. That's why they buy the Yakuza games. They like the Yakuza games. They're not going to say, I really like that, but man, there was just too much cleavage in this game. Where I played this
too much violence, too, you know?
Beating some guy up because he hasn't paid his debts or something. I mean, this is the world they exist in. This is for the game journos that will complain and maybe give a game a lower rating. And then if that happens, if a game gets too low a rating, then the people look on Metacritic and they think, well, maybe this latest Yakuza game isn't any good and I won't buy it. And then Walmart doesn't put it on there to give it as much shelf space. This is about appeasing, I think, the game journos. And I think basically where they are, the developers are, it's like there's the entertaining side, there's the political correct side. Can we remain somewhere remain entertaining, but just not put things in there that will trigger?
Before it gets too far, I want to call up Sashi's comment. Yeah. I was surprised when someone complained about my white privilege. Being Asian, I didn't realize I had it.
Oh, please. They were it's when it's convenient you have the white, when you're white. When it's convenient you're not white. When it's convenient you're white. That's how these.
And look,
Elliot Rogers.
The other problem that I have with the snowflakes that have problems with this is that they wallow in their frickin' ignorance, right? I was talking about this on Friday when we were talking about that show that Netter and I were watching. I think we're going to be seeing the last episode of it tomorrow night. I think it drops. Marry My Husband. Yeah, Marry My Husband.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I don't think I really got it across, there is a concept of some kind of progressive feminism in South Korea. They have had very what we would call conservative gender roles, and I just find it fascinating that at the way that this show deals with them, you definitely sympathize with just some very unfair treatment of the female lead, right? You definitely got her sympathies. It's not super preachy. It is a little over the top with some of the men are like caricatures of misogynists. I never hear Netter use the term misogynist, but about this one character, she's like, he's a complete misogynist. I'm like, well, yeah, that is pretty accurate in this case, right? But that is, I am learning a little tiny bit about South Korean culture. When I see something that's a little bit different than what I would expect, here in the States, I go, okay, that could be a stylistic difference of this particular show, but more likely it's something about South Korean culture that I was unaware of. That's very interesting, So
no, it is interesting. I'm learning stuff about it from that Killing Vote show too.
Yeah.
I recommend that maybe if you want a thriller sometime. I've
got the list of everything you recommended on Friday. I'm going to start watching them.
It's heating up. I like how the third episode ended. It was interesting.
I think
one lead detective guy, whatever you think, if he doesn't take any shit, I'll give him that.
There you go. This comes down to another example of the game journos just need to effing go away. They really do. But I think that's true. That's not just game journos. It's entertainment journos.
Yeah. Everyone.
The mainstream media needs to die and let the new media take over. The people that actually care about this stuff, that are actually reporting on it, peer to peer. I'm sorry, your time is over. Move on.
I like this comment, if you don't mind my reading this, Sasha. Asians generally don't have privilege. We're all equally worthless until we're rich and powerful. That's how it is almost everywhere, yeah.
I mean, it's that is also not entirely fair, but it is realistic. That is something that everyone can relate to, right?
All right, so now we move on to... I won't spend too much time on these ones.
No, this was a fun one. I'm glad you brought this one up, yeah.
This is after 50 years of the original Pong sequel get a Switch release date. What do you think, deleted scenes? You excited? Is he still here? Okay.
He's getting a charge out of it.
All right.
Yeah, this is great. We go from Yakuza to Pong. Okay.
We go from a video game that I said, oh my gosh, the graphics look like a movie, to boop.
I forgot to mention to you actually that typically in Yakuza games they do base the people off of real actors and models. So there's that.
They do that over here too. So
with a lot of big characters in games too. Yeah. Atari has announced that Quamp 2, the long-awaited sequel to the iconic Pong and the first Quamp, of course, will launch on Nintendo Switch eShop February 20th, 2024. I'm assuming it comes out on other consoles as well. Of course, since Pong's launch back in 1972, the game has had countless spin-offs and knockoffs alike. But Atari states that Quamp 2 is an artful sequel that ponders the age-old question, what would happen if the Pong ball escaped the paddles? Developed by Graphite Lab, Mr. Run and Jump, Quamp 2 looks to capture the spirit of the original Pong by implementing a 2-button setup as you navigate a series of labyrinth levels by moving in 45-degree angles while using a new dash ability to avoid deadly enemies and traps. We love the overall aesthetic of the game, and we're definitely curious as to how the simplistic control scheme will work out in the complex environments. Let's take a look at the key features. Cerebral puzzling. This simple 2-button controls but like complex and compelling gameplay, using your reflexes and think ahead to avoid hazards, flip switches, and bounce your way through 30 tricky levels. Hidden collectibles push you to explore every inch of the minimalist maps. A surprise around every corner, Quamp 2 constantly delights as new features, mechanics, enemies, traps, and hazards are introduced as you progress deeper into the game. Don't get complacent, as you've already mastered one aspect of gameplay, another one will really challenge you. Bosses, 4 challenging bosses block your path at the end of each world. You will need to use all your newfound skills to master their attacks and defenses. Don't worry, death isn't the end in the arcade-inspired world. Quick respawn, make sure you're back in the action in seconds. A serene soundscape, a soundtrack of ambient jams gets you in the groove and helps you keep your cool as you work your way through the minimalist maze. An emotional journey, an enigmatic story of doubt, fear, and self-acceptance told wordlessly with simple animations and effects. Okay, what do you think? You intrigued?
I am. The author the author of this article sounds like they're really stretching to make it a little bit more, more than it is.
On the adventure. Will there be role-playing elements and, like sad stories of villagers you couldn't rescue, or I don't know. I'm just
yeah. I mean,
wouldn't it be funny if Pong 2 needed a high-end PC to play? That would be funny. I'm sure it's coming to PC. It's probably coming to Steam and other things. Obviously,
the other thing is, I'm looking at the actual graphics for the upcoming game, and it reminds me maybe a little bit of like the later generation arcade games like Berserk and whatnot. It's still very simplistic, but it's got that kind of two-dimensionality to it.
It might be like they're trying to keep the old Atari aesthetic, but able to do things with it that you couldn't do with the old Atari technology.
Right.
Like I love this game called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which is an homage to Castlevania. It even looks like an epic Castlevania game, but it's doing things you couldn't see on an NES.
Sure.
Like multi-scroll, like a lot of these, like the fancy multi-scrolling background. Mario eats the Pong and bounces somewhere special. I don't know if that was a thing or not. Maybe there were. I have to say Pong. Do you remember Pong?
Of course, yeah. I didn't have it. Buddy had it, and I really wanted it too. But then when I saw Atari 2600 and Breakout, I was like, well, if I get this, I can have a whole bunch of games and not just Pong. You know.
And Pong came out, I think, on the Atari 2600, didn't it?
If it did,
Pong 2000 or something.
Yeah, there might have been a Pong-like game. I was content with Breakout, so I didn't look for something else. But yeah, there could have been a Pong on the 2600, sure.
Okay.
So, which Spider-Man universe is this game in?
They had a Spider-Man
Ultimates.
game on the Atari 2600, didn't they?
Yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good.
The commercial for it's funny, though. You should check out the commercial. It's got the Green Goblin in it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
All right, so here we go.
Xbox?
Xbox. Oh, this goes into the buy physical media category, correct?
Yep.
We think an Xbox is nixing physical game development. Xbox games may not get physical releases after Microsoft's latest reported layoffs. Microsoft had a ton of layoffs this week. Did you hear about this?
From this article, yes.
They laid off 1,900 people. Apparently now Microsoft, I think they did other layoffs. Now they're like a something $1 trillion company. I think they're one of 3 in the world now. I think they're up there with Apple, and I don't know who else. That's insane. But of course, to get to that trillion, they probably had to lay off a bunch of people. So reports indicate that Microsoft has to let go of the team responsible for bringing physical media to retail, signaling Microsoft's pivot to an all-digital future. The gaming community was rocked by the announcement of mass layoffs at Microsoft, with some 1,900 employees reportedly being let go. While many of the finer details have yet to be revealed, it is known that several Blizzard executives have left the company, and games like survival title Odyssey have been canceled. It's now starting to look like the layoffs may have far-reaching implications for the future of Xbox 2. As reporters indicated, major Microsoft team is no longer with the company. Microsoft reportedly lays off team that developed Xbox retail products. The revelation comes from a tweet from Jez Corden, managing editor of Windows Central. According to Corden, Microsoft closed the team responsible for the development of physical media, specifically bringing those products to retail. If you've seen the digital-only Xbox console leaks, well, you can get the idea of where Microsoft is going here. Yeah, their mid-console redesign has no disk drive added to it. It's a digital-only system. The news is in line with late 2023 leaks that indicated an Xbox Series XS refresh was coming. Both updated consoles are expected to be digital-only, though this has yet to be confirmed by Microsoft. Microsoft has toyed with the idea of pivoting to all digital for some time now. Though several Xbox 360 models were targeted toward users who preferred Xbox Live games over disc releases, its first earnest attempt was 2019's Xbox One S All Digital Edition. This was the stupidest commercial. I remember when this came out. The Xbox One S, that was last year's model. I have an Xbox One S. And they have this commercial with this guy doing a painting of the Xbox One S on a billboard. Then some guy yells up at him, "No, it's the all-digital edition." And then he just paints white over the place where the disc goes in. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Other than that, it was exactly the same. Some guy busted that thing open. All it was an Xbox One S where they removed the Blu-ray drive and gave it a new outer shell. It was a piece of junk. Why do I want to buy a fancy game console with no Blu-ray drive so I can't play my Blu-rays? I don't understand this. The Xbox, the One S all digital, was the same shell as the Xbox One, missing the optical drive. Yes, it goes on to say. This follows the trend of retailers removing physical media from their stores. Best Buy announced in 2023 that it would begin removing physical media such as DVDs from stores, while Walmart has reportedly begun process of removing physical copies of Xbox games from the stores. Well, they're doing that because Xbox is giving up on physical media. I just saw before we even went live on the stream, I saw somebody posting that Senua's Sacrifice, which is this, I guess, big Xbox exclusive title that Microsoft was putting out, is not going to have a physical release, and this is the sort of game that would have had a physical release just like a year ago. So they're moving on. They're not doing any more physical media on Xbox. It'll be a digital only game console. The writing's on the wall, at least. Yeah. I find this kind of disturbing, actually.
I should think you would, yeah.
They really want to control what you watch. It's interesting because as you know, I was flooded and my Xbox One S was hooked up, so I was worried it got damaged. So I did buy I was able to find on eBay the higher end model of the last gen, which was the Xbox One X, which was like a fancier version of the S. It could do true 4K and other things in the games. The trouble was, though, if you own both consoles, I thought they went by the Sony model, where you have one console. But if you buy a digital game, you can install it on up to 3 or 5 devices. I think with Sony it's 3. So if you own 3 PlayStations and you buy a digital game, you can put it on your 3 PlayStations. That's how it used to be. With Microsoft, though, they employ the idea of you having a satellite console and a main console. The satellite console always has to be logged into the internet for you to play your digital games. And I was thinking, okay, well, what does this mean? I'll just make the Xbox One S the less powerful system, the satellite console. I figure, okay, well, I can still play my digital games, but I got to log in like once a month, once a week, once a day. No, you have to be logged in while you're playing the game, or it kicks you out.
Yep.
What if you have bad internet and knocks you out? And I can tell you right now, they're going to want to move toward that someday.
Yep.
Where you have to be logged in all the time. They want you to just be renting the games. They don't want you owning things anymore. Whether it's digital or physical, they don't want you owning anything.
Yep.
So, I don't know. What do you think, deleted scenes? I know you've talked about digital media as far as Blu-ray goes. I don't know.
Well, I'm not really an authority when it comes to games per se, but I would think that people who are hardcore gamers, at least the ones that I know anyway, you know, they're very much like those of us who are film fans. They prefer, you know, the physical copies. Now I know there are some games that are only available digitally. Is that the case?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, like
there are a lot of them. Yeah, but so it's like one of those things. You're kind of stuck, and you know, I do this sometimes with movies. If there's something that's out of print or isn't available, you kind of have to go to digital. You just, as much as you don't like having to do it.
Yeah,
I
did.
I would argue that that's not the case. I think you need to understand that you are the consumer and it is your choice, not theirs. If you have enslaved yourself to them, okay, yes, master, whatever you say, I will own nothing and be happy. Sorry, man, that's on you. And you are making sure that model stays forever.
I get where deleted scenes is coming from, and I was sort of in his place. Like, I know deleted scenes, just like myself, you prefer physical over digital, but on occasion you'd probably buy a digital movie. I would, like, for instance, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. I don't have a Blu-ray of that, and I really wish I could get a Blu-ray of that, but it was released in a very limited edition over here by Twilight Time, and I wasn't even aware it came out. So now it's like a very expensive Blu-ray. But you could probably buy an HD copy, maybe even if it's on sale for $5. But at the same time, I'm still furious over what happened with French Connection and the fact that I couldn't even get a rebate on that.
Yep.
You know, you could have given me a store credit, Voodoo, and maybe I would have looked. So that's sort of where I am now with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. The thing with going back to French Connection for a minute, you know, what happened there. And there's a misconception about this because I had to do a retraction on my show about it.
Yeah.
Was that what happened with French Connection was Criterion put an edited for television version of the movie on by mistake.
Right.
And that's what happened there. It wasn't like it was this intentional, you know, we cut this particular bit of dialogue out of the movie because they were being PC or woke about it. No, they just screwed up.
No, but the deleted scenes, though, I did check my Voodoo edition of it on my Voodoo, and I think even on my Movies Anywhere account, and it's still censored on both. That scene is out on every digital copy, not just the one that was on the Criterion channel. Because that's what happened with Back to the Future. I remember they cut out the ooh la la scene on Netflix, but they just put the wrong version on there. I remember when that happened. But no, it's all the digital versions. I did check it myself, and it's a very bad cut. You can see where it is. Like, it's not even like a cut where it would be smooth, where I wouldn't have noticed it. No, it's very. But anyway, I mean, I could recheck it now. Perhaps Disney has restored it since then, while nobody was looking. It's possible they did that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because maybe they did it out of the outcry, and they would just do it on the sly and put it back in there and pretend that nothing happened. But I remember at the time I did check my digital copy, and it wasn't there. And I think Tom Connors was even saying that I think someone he knew had bought it before the Disney merger with 20th Century Fox digitally, and it was on there before that, and then it was taken off when the whole hoopla thing happened. But I mean, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? Are you excited? Are you excited?
I'll just go back and watch the original again.
Is it even worth spending too much time talking about this? Amazon MGM Studios released the first trailer for its remake of 1989 Roadhouse, which will be premiere streamed globally on Amazon Prime Video March 21st. The movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal as a former UFC struggling UFC fighter struggling to meet ends meet. After the owner of the Florida Keys Roadhouse finds him sleeping in his car, Edward Dalton becomes a bouncer and finds himself roped into a war of outlaws and bikers, including actual mixed martial artist turned first-time actor Conor McGregor, and a developer determined to build a lavish resort for quote-unquote rich assholes. Okay, so they're remaking Roadhouse. Is there any point to remaking Roadhouse?
No.
Okay.
Well, other than the fact that these people are creatively bankrupt and can't think of ideas of their own, so they have to remake, films that have already been done just fine because they can't make anything new. Honestly, this is why I have no problem with AI making movies, because it'll be the same damn thing. What's the difference if it's a human being doing it or an AI doing it?
I think it dishonors Swayze to make it.
I would agree with you, except I don't expect it to do all that well. It'll do about as well as the Footloose remake.
Yeah,
it was actually supposed to have a theatrical release, but then Amazon dumped it on their thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not. It's not so much that it dishonors Patrick Swayze to remake it. It has bigger problems than that.
Yeah.
One of which is just the Marvel movie level CGI that is just splooged all over this trailer.
Why does it even need CG? That makes zero sense.
I don't know, but it looks fake. It looks like the fight scenes look like a cartoon.
See, and that's why this is the other
professional fighter.
This is the other problem with modern films. They're going way over budget because they're doing stupid shit they don't need to do. The original Roadhouse cost almost nothing to make because everything was practical. They did the fights, they did the choreography, it looked great. Move on to the next scene.
Yeah, I mean, and just you can tell by the plot where they're going with this thing.
Yeah, it's just I
think it's gonna have the same tone as The Wrestler.
Well, I like The Wrestler.
Yeah, but compare it to Roadhouse.
No, Roadhouse is a bit of a lark. I remember when Siskel and Ebert reviewed it; they didn't know what to make of it. They were they couldn't tell if it's so bad or so good. They were like, because it's that kind of movie, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a fun action movie.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's all it ever intended to be.
Yeah.
You will not be watching Roadhouse. You'll have access to it. You got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, fuck it. Netter was even surprised because we were watching that Korean show on Amazon. She's like, "Are we paying for Amazon Prime?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, because we have Amazon Prime."
Yes, you do the shipping.
But we don't watch anything on it because there isn't anything good on it. When there is, we watch it.
Reacher's good. So is the Jack Ryan show. Both were good.
And eventually, if we get a second season of Outer Range, maybe it'll be good if they didn't jump the
I
shark
hope
with
so.
that one.
Take forever with second seasons. And now we have our final story of the night. I have a special image from this production that leaked online. So, new Jurassic World movie in the works for franchise original screenwriter David Cope. Yeah. Oh no. I think I screamed no. Just
This is
let it
another one that they
die.
really need to let die.
Just let it die already. And I'm saying this as someone who liked the first Jurassic World. I know some people didn't like any of the Jurassic Worlds. I thought the first one was a solid follow-up because it was ridiculous that they actually decided to actually make a Jurassic Park after all in that universe. I thought that was interesting.
This is the story that I was made aware of during my Thursday night program. Yeah, a reboot of Jurassic Park. Oh dear God, why?
Yeah.
Is it a reboot?
That's my understanding. Was it was a reboot?
It has to be because there's no place left to go after the last one because it's like, oh, the dinosaurs are loose in our world now. We have to learn to just live and work together with the dinosaurs. I'm like, are you nuts? Like, I thought they were setting it up. I mean, even Fallen Kingdom, I think that was what? Was that the second one? Or am I getting that confused with the Mission Impossible title? Because
I don't know.
Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen Kingdom, I think, was the second Jurassic World movie, which I thought, okay, it ended with the dinosaurs escaping into the wild, and I thought that movie at least had interesting parts in it. Like you had Jeff Goldblum when the island was about to, the big volcano on the island was going to erupt and kill all the dinosaurs, and he said, "Hey, nature has given us a way out of this mess. Just let it happen."
Yeah.
Okay. We shouldn't have brought them back. Now the natural thing can just get rid of the dinosaurs for us, and we're fine. But then there were people trying to save the dinosaurs, but then evil people stole the saved dinosaurs from them to sell to the most evil men in the world, and there was a dinosaur auction read by Toby Jones.
Yeah.
Then there was the clone girl, which I thought was the dumbest element of that movie, unless she was cloned in part raptor. That would have been kind of cool. Like raptor claws come out of her hands or something. No, she's just a human clone, which I thought was dumb. I didn't even understand the point of that story. And they doubled down that story in the last one because take the bad story element and double down on it. Go ahead.
I do get that because, look, in order for this whole Jurassic story to be plausible, they would have had to have perfected cloning technology. You're going to tell me you're going to have cloning technology and not use it for other things?
Well, that makes sense, yeah. And I think the one guy's granddaughter died or something.
Right,
so they
right.
figured they'd clone her and bring her back. And that's why the woman who took care of her was so much older because that was the original mother. But
right.
And I didn't have anything... I don't know. I'm just done. I'm done.
No, nothing.
I can't do this anymore. And why are they rebooting it?
I gotta just say, I mean, you guys have all made it a lot farther with Jurassic than I have. I read the original Michael Crichton book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that book stands on its own.
Yes.
The only reason he did a sequel was because they told him, we're gonna make another movie. You want in on it, you want the money, you better put out another book.
I heard the Lost World movie had nothing to do with the book, and that it was completely
It didn't.
different.
It really did. In fact, I would even argue that the Last World book was pretty good. It was a book that didn't have to happen, but it was way better the way he envisioned it than when we got in any of the films.
Yeah.
And I just know. I'm just done. I know.
Go ahead.
What would be better is if they did just walk away from Jurassic World and go to a Lost World based on the Conan Doyle,
Yes.
Or even better than that, there's been hundreds of sci-fi films, people going back in time, getting stuck in the actual Jurassic period and surviving. Do some movies like that if you want to do dinosaurs. And you can make them the same damn dinosaurs. Use the same, what do you call it, models or whatever, because it's the same company. There's no reason you couldn't do that.
You could do Dinosaurs Attacks. Remember the Topps trading card series?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't have to be directly tied to Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, Jurassic whatever. Make it something new. It's still got dinosaurs. It's still got people surviving dinosaur attacks, and people will still go see it. But it's a much simpler story, and you don't have to, anyway.
I thought Tim Burton should have done his own version of Dinosaurs Attack since he did the Mars Attacks movie. They should have had him do.
God, that would have been good. I would pay money to see that.
But yeah, I'm over Jurassic Park at this point. That last
I just don't want to see Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter as a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus.
Now I have a version of them being like clay animated and talking to each other.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, okay.
And Helena Bonham Carter would be the Triceratops. But
yeah,
I think they need to move to AI with Jurassic Park theme park animatronics. Would be way cooler than Michael Crichton wrote Westworld, we forget, which was about robots in the park.
Yes.
And which I thought the first season of Westworld was actually rather good.
I thought the first season was brilliant.
Yeah.
But, leave it to Hollywood to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Jeffrey Wright was on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember
He
that.
was.
And it was interesting what they did with him on that show too. So I don't get it. And then I think that got canceled too. But
It did.
Wraps us up for the night.
And to lead, real quick, to lead Jurassic Park back to our first segment, the third Jurassic Park movie was co-written by the director of The Holdovers.
Oh, there you go.
Alexander Payne. So
I didn't know that.
And I actually like 3. I know most people don't, but
no, I think 3 is
have
much
fun
better
with
than 2. I think 3
Yeah.
is just it's a simple story where they have to rescue this kid that got lost in that because some idiot was parasailing by the island, and so they get Dr. Grant to help them out. It's a very simple story. I like the fact Sam Neill's back in it. That was actually a decent Jurassic Park sequel. I liked World. I know some people didn't, but I found the fact that it was as over at the top as it was, I enjoyed it. I also Vincent D'Onofrio as the villain in it. It was pretty good, and I was hoping we were going to add to that and make it better. And instead, we had Diminishing Returns, and that last one was just terrible, just absolutely terrible. Last Jurassic Park movie, just I'm sure that was in screenplay hell too when it was being worked on, but still, no, I'm just done. And now they're going back to it because Universal does what always tries to make the safe bets, like adapting famous musicals about cats, and that's going to be a surefire hit. I'm sorry. Later tonight, The Other Side of Midnight, number 37 on Deleted Scenes channel. So I know we've been keeping you probably longer than we intended. So
yeah,
he
has less than an hour to go pee, get something to eat, top off his drink, and get ready for his stream.
Want to just say goodbye, Deleted Scenes, while I wrap up?
no, I'm good.
Okay, all right. So yeah, The Other Side of Midnight, and that'll be 5 after midnight. So are you having any special guests on tonight?
Hopefully. I mean, I have sent out some links, including to maybe a couple of people currently on the panel.
Well, there are only a couple of other people on the panel, so
This
I
is
wonder
voluntary.
who you might be talking. This is voluntary, and he looks
Completely voluntary.
completely voluntary.
Well,
You
maybe I
do
can
not
stop
have
by.
to come on.
Maybe I'll stop by for a
choice
half
is yours.
hour. How's that sound?
Sure, that'd be fine. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, because I do have to get up tomorrow, but it's at least a later day. But I have to get up at 9. I have to be there by 9:30, but I'll be all right. What about Jurassic Planet? Yeah, they're going to do that. Let's go to space. Yeah, let's
Right,
go to space.
exactly.
Tuesday we have, I believe that's the next thing coming up, correct? Tuesday will be
Sparkwood and 21. Yep.
All right. We have a link for that?
York's Curse.
We don't have to have a link for that. But, Sparkwood and 21 on Deleted Scenes channel. Subscribe to Deleted Scenes if you have not already. And you can catch Troy, myself, Deleted Scenes, and Netter on there. And we will do a rewatch of a Deleted Scenes episode. Which I believe now we're going to... What was the big cliffhanger this time? Oh, they're going to rescue Audrey Horne. So that's where we left off. So they were getting ready to do that. Next up will be Thursday, correct?
Yes, Thursday things. Netter's Network. Her guest will be 3D something or other.
Clifton 3D.
Clifton 3D. That's what 3D. It is.
Cool beans. And then on Friday will be Friday night last call with Troy Pacelli and his usual cadre of guests, which will be me and Netter and perhaps somebody else. But what's the theme this Friday?
No idea. Haven't decided yet. We'll have to see.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Saturday, anything going on Saturday?
Saturday is, let's see, we just had Big Al last week, so this week it's Netter's Network, where the film will be
Dagon.
Yes, the Spanish. Pardon me.
Stuart Gordon directed.
Stuart Gordon. Yeah.
Filmed in Spain.
Yes.
It is H.P. Lovecraft, very, very much based on Shadow over Innsmouth and Dagon and whatnot. It's an interesting take on it because I think the only thing that would have made it better is if they could have somehow gone with Eastern Seaboard, but. Yeah, there's filming thing.
There was a Roger Corman version of that story too.
Is there really? I didn't know that.
The Haunted Palace. That's another one. Yeah, it's what they listed under one of their Poe movies, but it was really based on that Lovecraft story. So
wow, I'll have to check that out.
Compare and contrast them someday.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check that out. But yeah, this Saturday, Dagon on Netter's Network.
And then Sunday we'll have your unscripted with deleted scenes. That is the official pre-show of Geeky Geezers. Are you going to talk anything about? Do you know what you're talking about yet, or are you still thinking on that?
I'm thinking on it, but the clue is it will be Disney related.
Cool beans.
And okay. I don't want to go any farther about than that. So I'm looking into some things behind the scenes. There's another channel that has been doing a certain investigative story on Disney, and I'm gonna be talking about that a little bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, y'all. That wraps us up for tonight. Thank you, everyone in the chat. If you haven't already, hit the like bell. Hit the like button and the bell. And you can catch. I will be on. At least I'll be on this for a bit later tonight. The other side of midnight, and we'll see who else shows up. Y'all have a good week.
See you over there. Bye-bye.
Take care.